All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Sunil Verma and with me is Subhadra Ramachandran. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Bangladesh counterpart Sheikh Hasina to hold virtual summit today. India and Bangladesh to reopen Chilahati-Haldibari rail link after nearly 55 years. Cabinet approves assistance of 3,500 crore rupees for sugarcane farmers. ISRO to launch communication satellite CMS-01 this afternoon from Sriharikota. British Prime Minister invites Prime Minister Modi to attend UK-hosted G7 summit next year. And in cricket, first day and night test match between India and Australia to begin this morning at Adelaide Oval. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these three simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. A virtual summit will be held between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Bangladesh counterpart Sheikh Hasina today. During the summit, the two leaders will hold comprehensive discussions on the entire spectrum of the bilateral relationship, including further strengthening cooperation in the post-COVID era. India and Bangladesh have continued to maintain regular exchanges at the highest level. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina paid an official visit to India in October last year. Prime Minister Narendra Modi delivered a video message on the historic occasion of Mujib Borsho in March this year. Both leaders have remained in regular touch during the COVID pandemic. India and Bangladesh will reopen the Chilahati-Haldibari rail link after nearly 55 years. It was cut off during the 1965 India-Pakistan War. The inauguration of the rail link will take place during the virtual summit of the Prime Minister of India and Bangladesh today. With an aim to enhance transport and connectivity between the two nations, the leadership on both sides has been committed to reviving and operationalizing the 6 pre-1965 rail links between the two countries. The Haldibari-Chilahati rail link was part of the broad-gauge main route from Kolkata to Siliguri. With the inauguration of the Haldibari-Chilahati rail link, 5 out of 6 rail links will become operational. Haldibari-Chilahati route will enhance connectivity to Assam and West Bengal from Bangladesh. This link will enhance rail network accessibility and give a boost to bilateral trade and economic development of the region.
The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs CCEA has approved assistance of 3,500 crore rupees for sugarcane farmers. Briefing media in New Delhi after the Cabinet meeting, Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar said Cabinet has taken the decision to help farmers directly by depositing money of subsidy into their accounts. It will benefit 5 crore farmers and 5 lakh workers.
Cabinet has taken a historic decision to help farmers directly by putting money of subsidy into his bank accounts. The subsidy will be given on 60 lakh tons of sugar exports at the rate of 6,000 rupees per ton. This will help 5 crore farmers and 5 lakh workers in various sugar mills also.
Mr. Javadekar said CCEA also approved revised cost estimate of Northeastern Region Power System Improvement Project for 6 states for strengthening of the intra-state transmission and distribution systems. He said the project reflects government's commitment to the total economic development of Northeastern region and to strengthen the intra-state transmission and distribution infrastructure in the region. The Cabinet also approved auction of spectrum in 700 MHz, 800 MHz, 900 MHz, 1800 MHz, 2100 MHz, 2300 MHz, 2500 MHz frequency bands for validity period of 20 years. Talking to reporters, Communication and IT Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad said a total of 2,251.25 MHz is being offered with total valuation of 3,92,332.70 crore rupees at reserve price. Uttar Pradesh government will launch a special program to double the income of farmers. The program, named as Kisan Kalyan Mission, will cover all assembly constituencies of the state. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath will today address a large farmers' gathering in Bareilly to clear the misconception about the recent farm laws. Here is a report from our Uttar Pradesh correspondent.
Under the Kisan Kalyan Mission, various programs will be organized across the state. Exhibitions of agriculture and associate sectors will be organized, which will include the products of MSME sector units and livelihood missions. Farmer meetings will also be organized in which progressive farmers, scientists and workers associated with Agriculture Department will explain the scientific farming and provide information about the schemes of government. Farmers will be given benefit under the various schemes of Agriculture Department during these events. Under the Kisan Kalyan Mission, many departments of state government like Agriculture Marketing, Mandi Parishad, Horticulture, Animal Husbandry, Fisheries, Sugarcane, Food and Supplies and Panchayati Raj will work together. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
The government has said that paddy procurement has shown an increase of 22.41% in the current Kharif marketing season over last year. Agriculture Ministry said over 390 lakh tons of paddy has been procured till date. It said government continues to procure Kharif crops at its minimum support price from farmers as per its existing MSP schemes. Out of the total purchase, Punjab alone has contributed over 202 lakh tons, which is 51.88% of total procurement. The ministry said about 44,32,000 farmers have already been benefited from the ongoing procurement operations with MSP value of 73,781 crore rupees. The national COVID-19 recovery rate has improved to 95.21% in the past 24 hours. With 33,813 new discharges, the total discharged cases reached 94,56,449. With 26,382 new COVID-19 cases in 24 hours, India's total cases have gone up to 99,32,548. The Health Ministry said with 387 new deaths in 24 hours, the death toll has reached 1,44,096. Total active cases are now over 3,32,000.
Bharat Biotech's indigenous vaccine Covaxin has been found to be yielding robust response and no serious adverse events in Phase 1 clinical trials. This was revealed by Bharat Biotech in its interim report. The vaccine, which is in the final stage trials, has been found to be well tolerated. The Hyderabad-based company said that the vaccine has triggered desired immune responses during the early stage trials. Bharat Biotech is developing Covaxin in collaboration with Indian Council of Medical Research ICMR. Earlier in November this year, Bharat Biotech had commenced Phase 3 trials of Covaxin with 26,000 volunteers across India. The company has already applied to the Drugs Controller General of India, DCGI, the emergency use authorization of its COVID-19 vaccine. In Madhya Pradesh, 1,257 corona patients were discharged from the hospital in the past 24 hours. So far, more than 2,11,000 patients have recovered in the state. We have more from our correspondent.
Now the number of patients getting healthy is more than those who get infected every day in Madhya Pradesh. Out of 52 districts, only 20 districts have more than 100 active patients. 1,079 new cases were reported yesterday. As a result, the number of COVID-19 cases in the state has increased to around 2,27,000. With 8 patients succumbing to the infection, the death toll rose to 3,433. There are now 12,330 active cases. Maximum 398 people have been infected in Indore, while 179 new infections have been reported in Bhopal yesterday. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
Gujarat has recorded 1,160 new corona cases during the last 24 hours. The recovery rate further improved to 92.71%. More from our Ahmedabad correspondent.
The total number of COVID-19 cases detected so far in Gujarat has reached up to 2,31,073. Out of this, 2,14,223 patients recovered. 1,384 patients recovered during the last 24 hours. More than 88,35,000 tests have been carried out till date. At present, total active cases are 12,647, out of which 67 patients are on ventilator. 10 patients died yesterday. The medical students have called off their two-day-old strike after meeting Deputy Chief Minister Nitin Patel. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
In Bihar, 238,462 patients have so far recovered from the COVID-19 infection. The number of active cases of COVID-19 is continuously declining. Currently, 5,015 patients are undergoing treatment at various hospitals. In all, 466 patients recovered in the last 24 hours, while 565 new cases were reported. Meanwhile, COVID-19 recovery rate has improved to 97.41%. This is 2.2% more than the national average. Over 122,000 corona tests were carried out during the past 24 hours. Over 1,66 lakh corona tests have been conducted in the state so far.
Government of India and World Bank have signed $400 million project to protect India's poor and vulnerable from the impact of COVID-19. Finance Ministry said this is the second operation in a programmatic series of 2. The first operation of $750 million was approved in May 2020. The program will strengthen the capability of state and central governments to provide coordinated and adequate social protection to the poor and vulnerable from the shocks triggered by the COVID-19 pandemic. Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank has announced that Joint Entrance Examination JEE Main will be held 4 times a year starting 2021. Mr. Nishank said it will offer flexibility to students and chance to improve their scores. He said the Education Ministry has examined the suggestions received from students and others and decided to conduct JEE Mains 4 times in February, March, April and May. Mr. Nishank said in February the exam will be held from 23rd to 26th. The minister informed that a candidate need not appear in all the 4 sessions. However, if a candidate appears in more than one session, then his or her best of the 2021 NTA scores will be considered for preparation of merit list or ranking.
Jal Shakti Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat has said that the world needs to come together to meet the challenges of the water sector in the same way as the world has united in fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. Addressing the concluding session of the 5th India Water Impact Summit in New Delhi, Mr. Shekhawat said the focal point of discussion on the last day of the summit was river conservation, synchronized navigation and flood management. He pointed out that the conference resulted in greater interaction between investors and stakeholders in the water sector to promote international cooperation between India and many foreign countries for water and river management. Talking about groundwater, Mr. Shekhawat said the government is working on the Atal Bhujal Yojana, a pioneering initiative to map and recharge aquifers and conserve groundwater in collaboration with the World Bank. He said that the scheme has been formed for the main objective of strengthening the institutional structure for groundwater management and bringing about behavioral changes at the community level. Jal Shakti Minister has also held mid-term review of National Hydrology Project, NHP. The project was started in 2016 as a central sector scheme with 100% grant to implementing agencies with a budget outlay of 3,680 crore rupees to be spent over a period of 8 years. The project aims at improving the extent, reliability and accessibility of water resources information and to strengthen the capacity of targeted water resource management institutions in the country. The project in its midterm has made significant progress in the fields of water resource monitoring system and institutional capacity enhancement. Mr. Shekhawat informed that under the NHP, a nationwide repository of water resources data has been established. NHP is focusing on establishment of real-time data acquisition system, RTDAS, on pan-India basis.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Bangladesh counterpart Sheikh Hasina to hold virtual summit today. India and Bangladesh to reopen Chilahati-Haldibadi rail link after nearly 55 years. Cabinet approves assistance of 3,500 crore rupees for sugarcane farmers. ISRO to launch communication satellite CMS-01 this afternoon from Sriharikota. British Prime Minister invites Prime Minister Modi to attend UK-hosted G7 summit next year. And in cricket, first day and night test match between India and Australia to begin this morning at Adelaide Oval. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
The National Space Agency ISRO is gearing up for the launch of India's communications satellite CMS-01 using the rocket PSLV C-50. The launch will be held from the second launch pad of the Satish Dhawan Space Centre at Sriharikota in Andhra Pradesh, some 90 kilometers off Chennai at 15:41 hours today. The 25-hour countdown for the mission began at 14:41 hours yesterday. The ISRO scientists say the countdown process is progressing very smoothly. For the PSLV rocket, this would be the 52nd flight, and for the National Space Agency ISRO, this would be the 77th launch mission from home. More from our Chennai correspondent.
The versatile workhorse rocket PSLV is set to inject the nation's new communication satellite CMS-01 into the geosynchronous transfer orbit in a launch mission that lasts for a little more than 21 minutes from the time of its ignition. Generally, communication satellites are heavier, and therefore the PSLV rocket carrying it requires an extra thrust to take them to the orbit. That role of providing the additional thrust will be played by the 6 strap-on motors. The satellite CMS-01 will have transponders to provide service using the extended C-band. This will be useful in covering not only the mainland India but also its far-flung island territories of Andaman and Nicobar and the Lakshadweep for communication purposes. The mission life of the satellite will be about 7 years. Jai Singh, AAR News, Chennai.
In our special series Year-Ender 2020 today, we bring you a report on how the NDA government has strengthened internal security under the dynamic leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Zero tolerance against terrorism and various initiatives of security forces on left-wing extremism front are achieving the target of making India a developed and safe nation. Home Minister Amit Shah stressed that internal and external security is crucial for India to become a $5 trillion economy.
कि मोदी जी $5 ट्रिलियन की इकोनॉमी में देश को ले जाना चाहते हैं और हम सबको भरोसा है कि मोदी जी का जिस प्रकार का नेतृत्व है देश जरूर वहां पहुंचेगा, परंतु वहां पहुंचने के लिए निहायत जरूरी है कि कानून और व्यवस्था की स्थिति को हम बरकरार रखें और बेहतर बनाते जाएं, चाहे वो आंतरिक सुरक्षा हो चाहे बाह्य सुरक्षा। मैं बीपीआरएनडी के सभी साथियों को कहना चाहता हूं कि ये जो चुनौतियां हैं वो चुनौतियों के लिए पुलिस बल को सुसज्ज करने में आपकी अहम भूमिका है।
Speaking to AIR News, former Director General of Police of Jharkhand, Vishnu Dayal Ram said, the overall security situation ranging from northeast to Jammu and Kashmir and Naxal-affected areas has improved in the country in the recent past.
उत्तर पूर्व के राज्यों में हमेशा समस्याएं होते रहती थी। विधि व्यवस्था को लेकर के नागा में जो निवासी हैं सभी में हमेशा झगड़ा हुआ करता था। बर्मा से सटे जो एरिया है उसमें हमेशा समस्या बनी रहती थी। जो प्रयास किया गया सरकार के द्वारा उसी प्रयास का प्रतिफल है कि बर्मा बॉर्डर भी अभी शांत है और असम के क्षेत्र में भी शांति बनी हुई है। जो सरकारें हैं बिना किसी बाधा के चल रही हैं, तो ओवरऑल अभी जो स्थिति है वो बहुत ही सही है।
More from our correspondent.
2020 has been marked by a concerted and coordinated approach within the different arms of national security apparatus, from capacity building of police forces to deal with disasters and emergencies and transforming the man in khaki to a people-friendly force as witnessed during COVID-19 pandemic bear a testimony to their work. Newly carved UTs of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh have seen large turnout of voters in the local council elections, which augurs well for a better and brighter future. De-radicalization program in Dantewada for the surrendered left-wing extremists and coordinated action with states to check the LWE menace have yielded positive results. Cybercrime against citizens is another area where government is working overtime. Insurgency in the northeastern state has been stemmed thanks to the pro-people initiatives by the centre. Home Ministry has supported the states extensively in controlling the spread of the extremism by deploying Central Armed Police Forces battalions, providing choppers, unmanned aerial vehicles and other support systems, access to amenities and the facilities by the construction of roads, installation of mobile towers, skill development, expanding networks of banks and post offices, health and education in Naxal-infested areas are showing visible results on the ground. It has been a work in progress which has bolstered internal security with Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas and Sabka Vishwas at its core. With Subhagyakar, Anupam Mish, AIR News, Delhi.
Secretary General of Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Tirth Kshetra Trust, Champat Rai, has announced to run a Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Mandir Nidhi Samarpan Abhiyan from 15 January to 27 February next year. Addressing media, he said, with the support of people of every caste, creed, sect, region and language of the country, the Ram temple would actually take the form of a Rashtra Mandir. He said preparations are underway to construct the temple and funds cannot be a hindrance in the work of God. In order to maintain transparency in the financial dealings and transactions, the trust has printed coupons and receipts of denominations of 10, 100 and 1000 rupees. He said coupons or receipts will be issued according to what the society contributes. Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar has said that no stations of All India Radio will be closed, downgraded or converted into relay centres. Speaking to media in New Delhi, Mr. Javadekar said there is a deliberate attempt by somebody to spread rumours and fake news that government is closing certain AIR stations.
There is a deliberate attempt by somebody to spread the rumor, the fake news, that we are closing down some All India radio stations and we are downgrading some and we are also convert some into relay center. But we are not doing anything like this, and that is very clear message I want to give. We are strengthening the radio system and will strengthen it further.
External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has launched Economic Diplomacy website which will showcase India's economic, sectoral and state-wise strengths. Speaking on the occasion, Mr. Jaishankar said the website positions a multidimensional and dynamic brand India to the global business community through a specific focus on government's ease of doing business initiatives, policy reforms and incentives aimed at attracting foreign investment. He said in line with Prime Minister's vision of doubling farmers' income by 2022, the website highlights opportunities for the country's agriculture exports abroad. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has invited India to attend G7 summit next year. Mr. Johnson has sent a letter inviting Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the summit. UK Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab called on Mr. Modi and handed over the letter in New Delhi. Prime Minister Modi has accepted the invitation. Following his bilateral meeting with External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, Mr. Raab said he is pleased to extend the invite to Mr. Modi to join the UK-hosted G7 summit next year.
What huge admiration I have for this country, the country with one of the highest number of scientists and engineers, a leader in tech, a leader in solar and wind energy, and a huge presence on the global stage. So it's a great pleasure to be here and to discuss our shared plans for an even closer future relationship. We agreed on key elements of a 10-year UK-India roadmap so that we can deliver a step change in ambition for the relationship between our two countries. We look forward to taking this forward in 2021, including through the UK's presidency of the G7 and also our presidency of the UN Climate Change Conference, and as we see and welcome India return to the UN Security Council. And it's very much with that in mind that I'm pleased that Prime Minister Johnson has invited Prime Minister Modi to join the UK-hosted G7 summit next year.
In a statement in London, British Prime Minister's office said that Mr. Johnson wrote to Mr. Modi to invite India as one of the 3 guest nations alongside South Korea and Australia. This year, the G7 grouping will also reportedly witness an expansion and will include 10 democracies, naming it D10.
India and the United Kingdom have expressed their resolve to further strengthen their educational collaboration. In a bilateral meeting between Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank and United Kingdom Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab in New Delhi, the two countries agreed to deepen their engagement in the field of education and research and work collaboratively on mutual recognition of academic qualifications over the next year. India and UK have also agreed to set up a joint task force consisting of designated higher education organizations from both sides to work towards mutual recognition of academic qualifications. Speaking on the occasion, Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank said that setting up of a joint task force will expedite the process for achieving mutual recognition of academic qualification. He said this will support India's agenda for internationalization of higher education. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, Pakistani troops yesterday violated ceasefire and resorted to unprovoked and indiscriminate firing targeting Indian forward posts and civilian areas along the line of control in Novashera sector of Rajouri district. Defence spokesperson told AIR News that at about 1800 hours, Pak troops started firing with small arms followed by shelling with mortars. However, alert Indian Army troops retaliated immediately and gave a befitting reply to silence Pak's roaring guns. No damage was caused by Pak firing. In cricket, India will face host Australia in the first day and night test match at the Adelaide Oval beginning today. The match will start at 9:30 a.m. Team India has announced they're playing 11 for the first test. Prithvi Shaw and Riddhiman Saha have been named in India's playing 11 for the first test. The side has opted to go in with 6 batsmen in the lineup. Riddhiman Saha has been given the nod as a wicket-keeper for the first test.
All India Football Federation, AIFF, has formally announced its candidature to host the AFC Asian Cup 2027 and deliver a brighter future together for football in India and across Asia. Unveiling its plan at the launch in New Delhi, AIFF showcased the unrivaled potential of hosting Asia's flagship football event in the world's fastest emerging football market, home to 1.3 billion people. In addition to the FIFA U17 World Cup in 2017, India is also due to host the FIFA U17 Women's World Cup and the AFC Women's Asian Cup in 2022. And now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. In Srinagar, the sky will be mainly clear. The minimum temperature was -6 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 12 degrees. In Jammu, the lower level of temperature was 5 degrees Celsius, while the upper level will be around 18 degrees. The city may witness fog or mist in the morning and mainly clear sky later. Leh may witness partly cloudy sky. The minimum temperature dips to -10 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 2 degrees. In Gilgit, the sky will be mainly clear, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. In Muzaffarabad, the mainly clear sky is expected today. The temperature will hover between 3 and 18 degrees Celsius. In Dehradun, the temperature will hover between 5 and 21 degrees Celsius. Chandigarh may witness mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature was recorded at 5 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is expected to be 18 degrees Celsius. In Hyderabad, the minimum temperature was 18 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 29 degrees. Ahmedabad will see mainly clear sky. Patna will see fog or mist in the morning and mainly clear sky later. And in Gangtok, we will have mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. The top news in most dailies is the Supreme Court observation on the farmers' protest. SC for panel to resolve farmer crisis is the headline in the Statesman. The Asian Age carries on its front page a photograph of the Prime Minister paying tribute to the martyrs of the 1971 India-Pakistan war on Vijay Diwas yesterday. U.S. defense bill slams China on LAC aggression, reports Hindustan Times. Citing national security, government set to bar Chinese telecom gear, reports the Times of India. Teleproduct from China to face curbs, writes the Tribune. SC issues notice on uniform divorce maintenance laws, headlines the Hindustan Times. Bharat Biotech Phase 1 data shows vaccine safe, reports the Hindustan Times. The Pioneer quotes a survey to reveal that 46% of Indians consult doctors online out of COVID fear. And finally, under the caption, in death, 2.5-year-old Gujarat boy gifts life to 5. The Times of India writes, the boy's organs were donated by his parents to save 5 lives, including of children from Russia and Ukraine.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Bangladesh counterpart Sheikh Hasina to hold virtual summit today. India and Bangladesh to reopen Chilahati-Haldibari rail link after nearly 55 years. Cabinet approves assistance of 3,500 crore rupees for sugarcane farmers. ISRO to launch communication satellite CMS-01 this afternoon from Sriharikota. British Prime Minister invites Prime Minister Modi to attend UK-hosted G7 summit next year. And in cricket, first day and night test match between India and Australia to begin this morning at Adelaide Oval. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.